He didn't care about headlines. His obsession wasn't winning in Spain, it was conquering Europe. And to do that, he'd have to survive a war in London. They completed 464 passes, had just one shot on target, and needed a miracle in the 93rd minute. Barcelona was seconds away from crashing out. It was May 6th, 2009, Stamford Bridge, the second leg of the UEFA Champions League semi-final. The first leg had ended in 0-0 at the Camp Nou. Chelsea had come to Spain and parked the bus like it was welded to the pitch, and it worked. Now, back in London, Pep's system faced its most brutal test. Gus Hiddink's Chelsea was built to survive. Drogba up front, Essien in beast mode, Lampard pressing, Ballack snarling, Terry and Alex smashing anything that moved. And just 9 minutes in, Barcelona blinked. Essien caught a loose ball outside the box. One swing of the left foot and it exploded off the bar and in. 1-0 Chelsea. The game had just begun and Pep was already in a hole. What followed was a 90-minute chess match where one side had a hammer. Barcelona passed, moved, waited. Chelsea defended like gladiators. Then came the controversy. In the second half, Chelsea screamed for not one, not two, but 4 separate penalties. Handballs, trips, shoulder pulls. Referee Tom Henning-Overbu waved them all away. Drogba lost his mind and Ballack chased the ref down the pitch. The crowd was absolutely boiling. And still, Barcelona hadn't managed a single shot on target. That's when the clock hit 90 minutes. Their dream season, undefeated in Europe, was about to end. But then it happened. 93rd minute. A deflected pass landed at Messi's feet. He slipped it sideways into the path of Andres Iniesta. And without a second thought, Iniesta hit it first time with the inside of his right foot into the top corner. Czech didn't even stand a chance. Barcelona had scored with their first shot on target. They were going to the final. But controversy followed them all the way to the tunnel. Drogba screamed at the camera.
The strongest official you can put down. This is supposed to be.
Overbu literally needed security to leave the pitch. The football world was losing it, but the final, that wouldn't be decided by luck. It would be decided by something far more brutal. The reigning champions were made to look like amateurs, and Cristiano Ronaldo couldn't do a thing about it. It was May 27th, 2009, Stadio Olimpico, Rome. The Champions League final would be between Manchester United and Barcelona. United had just won the Premier League. They were unbeaten in Europe. They had Ronaldo, Rooney, and a midfield that crushed Arsenal in the semis. Sir Alex Ferguson had built a juggernaut. Barcelona, on the other hand, were exhausted. Dani Alves was suspended. Abidal was suspended. Marquez was injured. Yaya Touré had to play centre-back. Puyol shifted to right-back. And yet, from the first whistle, it was clear this wasn't going to be a fair fight. In the opening 10 minutes, United actually threatened. Ronaldo had 3 shots. Valdés had to stay sharp. But Barcelona didn't panic, and in the 10th minute, Iniesta cut through midfield, fed the ball to Eto'o, who chopped inside Nemanja Vidic and stabbed it past Van der Sar. It was Barcelona 1, United 0. From that moment on, it was a clinic. Barcelona erased United's midfield. Xavi completed 96 passes. Iniesta completed 92. United was just chasing shadows, and then came the killer moment. In the 70th minute, Xavi picked up the ball on the right. He floated in a cross, gentle and perfect. And Messi, all 5'7" of him, rose between Rio Ferdinand and Vidic and headed the ball into the net. It was 2-0. Game over. Barcelona had dominated 66% possession, completed nearly double the passes of United, and outclassed a team filled with legends. Even Sir Alex admitted it. They were the better team. Messi lifted his first Champions League trophy. Pep Guardiola, in his debut season, had completed a historic treble. La Liga, Copa del Rey, Champions League, all in 1 year. This was the beginning of a football revolution, one that would change how the entire world played the game. It had now been proven. Pep Guardiola's system wasn't a fluke. Tiki-taka, that's what the world called it. Short passes, fast movement, relentless pressing. But inside Barcelona's walls, they didn't use that word. They called it juego de posición, positional play. Every training drill had geometry. Every match was a math equation. Players spaced perfectly between lines, forming triangles, creating numerical superiority in every zone. If the opponent pressed, you passed around them. If they sat deep, you dragged them out with decoys and tore open the gaps. It looked simple, but it was lethal. By the end of the 2008 to 2009 season, Barcelona had averaged 65% possession across all competitions. But this wasn't just sideways passing. They scored over 150 goals in total, because for Pep, possession wasn't the goal, it was the weapon. You couldn't attack if you never had the ball. You couldn't counter if you never touched it. Clubs took notice, so did countries. Germany restructured their youth academies to mimic Barcelona's system. Spain adopted it fully and won the World Cup a year later, using the same midfield trio: Xavi, Iniesta, and Busquets. From Bayern to Manchester City, Arsenal to Ajax, everyone started copying the model. Barcelona completely dominated their era. Suddenly, big, physical, direct football looked outdated. Coaches around the world started printing out Guardiola's diagrams. The revolution had started. But the most beautiful thing about this new Barca wasn't the game they played. It was the fact that this lethal machine wasn't built by transfer fees. It wasn't bought from abroad. It was completely homegrown, because Pep's greatest weapon wasn't his tactics. It was La Masia. 7 starters in the Champions League final came from Barcelona's own academy. No club had ever done that before. Located just steps away from the Camp Nou, La Masia took in kids as young as 7. But they weren't trained just to be athletes. They were trained to be thinkers. Tactical intelligence, first touch, spatial awareness. That came before physical development. By 2008, the system had matured. The kids who'd grown up mimicking Guardiola the player were now being coached by him. Lionel Messi, Andres Iniesta, Xavi Hernandez, Sergio Busquets, Gerard Piqué, Pedro, Carles Puyol, all born inside the club, all trained in the same language. When Guardiola took over, he didn't need to teach them how to play, he just gave them a stage. They moved in sync, passed, without looking, knew each other's movements before the ball was played. While Real Madrid spent €254 million that same year on transfers, including Cristiano Ronaldo, Barcelona built a dynasty using their own bloodline. In the 2008 to 2009 season, 70% of Barcelona's minutes were played by academy graduates. Just let that sink in. The greatest team in world football was built from within. La Masia was the soul of Barcelona. And yet, even with all the tactics, all the talent, and all the trophies, it's not what they won that changed the sport. It's how they won. Barcelona defined what greatness looked like. They literally won everything there was to win and made their rivals question the point of even trying. By the final whistle in Rome, the record books had already been shattered. This is what the La Liga scoreboard looked like at the end of the season. Barcelona finished with 87 points and an astonishing 105 goals scored. In the Copa del Rey, they dismantled Athletic Bilbao with a dominant 4-1 victory in the final. Over in the Champions League, they tore through England's best edging past Chelsea in a brutal semi-final and crushing Manchester United in the final. And somewhere in the middle of all that chaos, they walked into the Santiago Bernabeu and humiliated Real Madrid with a ruthless 6-2 masterclass. A result so painful, Madrid fired their coach the next day. Barcelona was out there breaking spirits. Even legends like Fabio Cannavaro and Guti admitted there was nothing we could do. But beyond the silverware, something bigger had changed. Barcelona's football made fans fall in love again. Neutrals cheered for them. Rivals respected them. Kids all over the world wanted to play like Messi, pass like Xavi, and think like Iniesta. Pep Guardiola had become more than a manager. He became a symbol of belief in youth and of beauty in sport. In his first season,